The First Book of Samuel, Chapter 1. Now there was a certain man of Ramathaim Zophim, of the hill country of Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, the son of Jeroham, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, an Ephraimite. And he had 2 wives. The name of the one was Hannah, and the name of the other Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. This man went up out of his city from year to year to worship and to sacrifice to the Lord of hosts in Shiloh. The 2 sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, priests to the Lord, were there. When the day came that Elkanah sacrificed, he gave to Peninnah his wife, and to all her sons and her daughters portions. But to Hannah he gave a double portion, for he loved Hannah, but the Lord had shut up her womb. Her rival provoked her sorely to make her fret, because the Lord had shut up her womb. As he did so year by year when she went up to the house of the Lord, so she provoked her. Therefore she wept and did not eat. Elkanah her husband said to her, Hannah, why do you weep? And why don't you eat? And why is your heart grieved? Am I not better to you than 10 sons? So Hannah rose up after they had eaten in Shiloh, and after they had drunk. Now Eli the priest was sitting on his seat by the doorpost of the temple of the Lord. She was in bitterness of soul, and prayed to the Lord, and wept sore. She vowed a vow, and said, Lord of hosts, if you will indeed look on the affliction of your handmaid, and remember me, and not forget your handmaid, but will give to your handmaid a man-child, then I will give him to the Lord all the days of his life, and there shall no razor come on his head. It happened, as she continued praying before the Lord, that Eli marked her mouth. Now Hannah, she spoke in her heart, only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought she had been drunken. Eli said to her, How long will you be drunk? Put away wine from you. Hannah answered, No, my lord, I am a woman of a sorrowful spirit. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but I poured out my soul before the Lord. Don't count your handmaid for a wicked woman, for out of the abundance of my complaint and my provocation have I spoken. Then Eli answered, Go in peace, and the God of Israel grant your petition that you have asked of him. She said, Let your handmaid find favor in your sight. So the woman went her way and ate, and her facial expression wasn't sad any more. They rose up in the morning early and worshipped before the Lord, and returned and came to their house to Ramah, and Elkanah knew Hannah his wife, and the Lord remembered her. It happened, when the time was come about, that Hannah conceived, and bore a son, and she named him Samuel, saying, Because I have asked him of the Lord. The man Elkanah and all his house went up to offer to the Lord the yearly sacrifice and his vow. But Hannah didn't go up, for she said to her husband, I will not go up until the child be weaned, and then I will bring him, that he may appear before the Lord, and there abide forever. Elkanah her husband said to her, Do what seems good to you. Wait until you've weaned him. Only let the Lord establish his word. So the woman waited and nursed her son until she weaned him. When she had weaned him, she took him up with her, and 3 bulls, and 1 ephah of meal, and a bottle of wine, and brought him to the house of the Lord in Shiloh, and the child was young. They killed the bull, and brought the child to Eli. She said, O my Lord, as your soul lives, my Lord, I am the woman who stood by you here praying to the Lord. For this child I prayed, and the Lord has given me my petition which I ask of him. Therefore also I have granted him to the Lord. As long as he lives, he is granted to the Lord. He worshipped the Lord there. Chapter 2. Hannah prayed and said, My heart exalts in the Lord. My horn is exalted in the Lord. My mouth is enlarged over my enemies, because I rejoice in your salvation. There is none holy as the Lord, for there is none besides you, neither is there any rock like our God. Talk no more so exceedingly proudly. Don't let arrogance come out of your mouth, for the Lord is a God of knowledge. By him actions are weighed. The bows of the mighty men are broken. Those who stumbled are girded with strength. Those who were full have hired themselves out for bread. Those who were hungry have ceased to hunger. Yes, the barren has borne 7. She who has many children languishes. The Lord kills and makes alive. He brings down to Sheol and brings up. The Lord makes poor and makes rich. He brings low, he also lifts up. He raises up the poor out of the dust. He lifts up the needy from the dunghill, to make them sit with princes. Inherit the throne of glory, for the pillars of the earth are the Lord's. He has set the world on them. He will keep the feet of his holy ones. But the wicked shall be put to silence in darkness, for by strength shall no man prevail. Those who strive with the Lord shall be broken to pieces. Against them will he thunder in the sky. The Lord will judge the ends of the earth. He will give strength to his king, exalt the horn of his anointed. Elkanah went to Ramah to his house. The child did minister to the Lord before Eli the priest. Now the sons of Eli were base men. They didn't know the Lord. The custom of the priest with the people was that when any man offered sacrifice, the priest's servant came, while the flesh was boiling, with a flesh hook of 3 teeth in his hand, and he struck it into the pan or kettle or cauldron or pot. All that the flesh hook brought up, the priest took. So they did in Shiloh to all the Israelites who came there. Yes, before they burned the fat, the priest's servants came and said to the man who sacrificed, Give flesh to roast for the priest, for he will not have boiled flesh of you, but raw. If the man said to him, They will surely burn the fat first, and then take as much as your soul desires, then he would say, No, but you shall give it to me now, and if not, I will take it by force. The sin of the young men was very great before the Lord, for the men despised the offering of the Lord. But Samuel ministered before the Lord, being a child, girded with a linen ephod. Moreover, his mother made him a little robe, and brought it to him from year to year, when she came up with her husband to offer the yearly sacrifice. Eli blessed Elkanah and his wife, and said, The Lord give you seed of this woman for the petition which was asked of the Lord. They went to their own home. The Lord visited Hannah, and she conceived, and bore 3 sons and 2 daughters. The child Samuel grew before the Lord. Now Eli was very old, and he heard all the things his sons did to all Israel, and how that they lay with the women who served at the door of the tent of meeting. He said to them, Why do you do such things? For I hear of your evil doings from all this people. No, my sons, for it is no good report that I hear. You make the Lord's people to disobey. If a man sin against another, God shall judge him. But if a man sins against the Lord, who shall entreat for him? Notwithstanding, they didn't listen to the voice of their father, because the Lord was minded to kill them. The child Samuel grew on and increased in favor both with the Lord and also with men. There came a man of God to Eli and said to him, Thus says the Lord, Did I reveal myself to the house of your father, when they were in Egypt in bondage in Pharaoh's house? And did I choose him out of all the tribes of Israel to be my priest, to go up to my altar, to burn incense, to wear an ephod before me? And did I give to the house of your father all the offerings of the children of Israel made by fire? Why do you kick at my sacrifice and at my offering, which I have commanded in my habitation, and honor your sons above me, to make yourselves fat with the best of all the offerings of Israel my people? Therefore the Lord, the God of Israel, says, I said indeed that your house and the house of your father should walk before me forever. But now the Lord says, Be it far from me, for those who honor me I will honor, and those who despise me shall be lightly esteemed. Behold, the days come, that I will cut off your arm, and the arm of your father's house, that there shall not be an old man in your house. You shall see the affliction of my habitation, and all the wealth which God shall give Israel, and there shall not be an old man in your house forever. The man of yours, whom I shall not cut off from my altar, shall be to consume your eyes, and to grieve your heart, and all the increase of your house shall die in the flower of their age. This shall be the sign to you that shall come on your 2 sons, on Hophni and Phinehas. In one day they shall both die. I will raise up a faithful priest that shall do according to that which is in my heart and in my mind, and I will build him a sure house, and he shall walk before my anointed forever. It shall happen that every one who is left in your house shall come and bow down to him for a piece of silver and a loaf of bread, and shall say, Please put me into one of the priest offices, that I may eat a morsel of bread. Chapter 3. The child Samuel ministered to the Lord before Eli. The word of the Lord was precious in those days. There was no frequent vision. It happened at that time, when Eli was laid down in his place. Now his eyes had begun to grow dim so that he could not see, and the lamp of God hadn't yet gone out, and Samuel had laid down to sleep in the temple of the Lord, where the ark of God was, that the Lord called Samuel, and he said, Here I am. He ran to Eli and said, Here am I, for you called me. He said, I didn't call. Lie down again. He went and laid down. The Lord called yet again, Samuel. Samuel arose and went to Eli and said, Here I am, for you called me. He answered, I didn't call, my son. Go lie down again. Now Samuel didn't know the Lord, neither was the word of the Lord yet revealed to him. The Lord called Samuel again the 3rd time. He arose and went to Eli and said, Here am I, for you called me. Eli perceived that the Lord had called the child. Therefore Eli said to Samuel, Go, lie down, and it shall be, if he call you, that you shall say, Speak, Lord, for your servant hears. So Samuel went and lay down in his place. The Lord came and stood, and called as at other times, Samuel, Samuel. Then Samuel said, Speak, for your servant hears. The Lord said to Samuel, Behold, I will do a thing in Israel, at which both the ears of everyone who hears it shall tingle. And that day I will perform against Eli all that I have spoken concerning his house, from the beginning even to the end. For I have told him that I will judge his house forever, for the iniquity which he knew, because his sons did bring a curse on themselves, and he didn't restrain them. Therefore I have sworn to the house of Eli, that the iniquity of Eli's house shall not be expiated with sacrifice nor offering forever. Samuel lay until the morning, and opened the doors of the house of the Lord. Samuel feared to show Eli the vision. Then Eli called Samuel and said, Samuel, my son. He said, Here I am. He said, What is the thing that the Lord has spoken to you? Please don't hide it from me. God do so to you, and more also, if you hide anything from me of all the things that he spoke to you. Samuel told him everything, and hid nothing from him. He said, It is the Lord. Let him do what seems good to him. Samuel grew, and the Lord was with him, and did let none of his words fall to the ground. All Israel from Dan even to Beersheba knew that Samuel was established to be a prophet of the Lord. The Lord appeared again in Shiloh, for the Lord revealed himself to Samuel in Shiloh by the word of the Lord. Chapter 4. The word of Samuel came to all Israel. Now Israel went out against the Philistines to battle, and encamped beside Ebenezer, and the Philistines encamped in Aphek. The Philistines put themselves in array against Israel, and when they joined battle, Israel was struck before the Philistines, and they killed of the army in the field about 4,000 men. When the people were come into the camp, the elders of Israel said, Why has the Lord struck us today before the Philistines? Let us get the ark of the covenant of the Lord out of Shiloh to us, that it may come among us, and save us out of the hand of our enemy. So the people sent to Shiloh, and they brought from there the ark of the covenant of the Lord of hosts, who sits above the cherubim. And the 2 sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were there with the ark of the covenant of God. When the ark of the covenant of the Lord came into the camp, all Israel shouted with a great shout, so that the earth rang again. When the Philistines heard the noise of the shout, they said, What means the noise of this great shout in the camp of the Hebrews? they understood that the ark of the Lord had come into the camp. The Philistines were afraid, for they said, God is come into the camp. They said, Woe to us, for there has not been such a thing before. Woe to us, who shall deliver us out of the hand of these mighty gods? These are the gods that struck the Egyptians with all manner of plagues in the wilderness. Be strong and behave yourselves like men, O you Philistines, that you not be servants to the Hebrews, as they have been to you. Quit yourselves like men and fight. The Philistines fought, and Israel was struck, and they fled every man to his tent, and there was a very great slaughter, for there fell of Israel 30,000 footmen. The ark of God was taken, and the 2 sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were slain. There ran a man of Benjamin out of the army, and came to Shiloh the same day, with his clothes torn, and with earth on his head. When he came, behold, Eli was sitting on his seat by the road watching, for his heart trembled for the ark of God. When the man came into the city and told it, all the city cried out. When Eli heard the noise of the crying, he said, What means the noise of this tumult? The man hurried and came and told Eli. Now Eli was 98 years old, and his eyes were set so that he could not see. The man said to Eli, I am he who came out of the army, and I fled today out of the army. He said, How went the matter, my son? He who brought the news answered, Israel is fled before the Philistines, and there has been also a great slaughter among the people, and your 2 sons also, Hophni and Phinehas, are dead, and the ark of God is taken. It happened, when he made mention of the ark of God, that Eli fell from off his seat backward by the side of the gate, and his neck broke, and he died, for he was an old man and heavy. He had judged Israel 40 years. His daughter-in-law, Phinehas' wife, was with child near to be delivered, and when she heard the news that the ark of God was taken, and that her father-in-law and her husband were dead, she bowed herself and brought forth, for her pains came on her. About the time of her death, the women who stood by her said to her, Don't be afraid, for you have brought forth a son. But she didn't answer, neither did she regard it. She named the child Ichabod, saying, The glory is departed from Israel, because the ark of God was taken, and because of her father-in-law and her husband. She said, The glory is departed from Israel, for the ark of God is taken. Chapter 5. Now the Philistines had taken the ark of God, and they brought it from Ebenezer to Ashdod. The Philistines took the ark of God, and brought it into the house of Dagon, and set it by Dagon. When they of Ashdod arose early on the next day, behold, Dagon was fallen on his face to the ground before the ark of the Lord. They took Dagon and set him in his place again. When they arose early on the next day, behold, Dagon was fallen on his face to the ground before the ark of the Lord, and the head of Dagon and both the palms of his hands lay cut off on the threshold. Only the stump of Dagon was left to him. Therefore neither the priest of Dagon, nor any who come into Dagon's house, tread on the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod to this day. But the hand of the Lord was heavy on them of Ashdod, and he destroyed them, and struck them with tumors, even Ashdod and the borders of it. When the men of Ashdod saw that it was so, they said, The ark of the God of Israel shall not abide with us, for his hand is sore on us, and on Dagon our God. They sent therefore and gathered all the lords of the Philistines to them, and said, What shall we do with the ark of the God of Israel? They answered, Let the ark of the God of Israel be carried about to Gath. They carried the ark of the God of Israel there. It happened that after they had carried it there, the hand of the Lord was against the city with a very great confusion, and he struck the men of the city, both small and great, and tumors broke out on them. So they sent the ark of God to Ekron. It happened as the ark of God came to Ekron that the Ekronites cried out, saying, They have brought about the ark of the God of Israel to us, to kill us and our people. They sent and gathered together all the lords of the Philistines, and they said, Send the ark of the God of Israel away, and let it go again to its own place, that it not kill us and our people. for there was deadly confusion throughout all the city. The hand of God was very heavy there. The men who didn't die were struck with the tumors, and the cry of the city went up to heaven. Chapter 6. The ark of the Lord was in the country of the Philistines 7 months. The Philistines called for the priest and the diviner, saying, "What shall we do with the ark of the Lord? Show us with which we shall send it to its place." They said, "If you send away the ark of the God of Israel, don't send it empty, but by all means return him a trespass offering. Then you shall be healed, and it shall be known to you why his hand is not removed from you." Then they said, "What shall be the trespass offering which we shall return to him?" They said, 5 golden tumors, and 5 golden mice, according to the number of the lords of the Philistines. For one plague was on you all, and on your lords. Therefore you shall make images of your tumors, and images of your mice that mar the land, and you shall give glory to the God of Israel. Perhaps he will lighten his hand from off you, and from off your gods, and from off your land. Why then do you harden your hearts as the Egyptians and Pharaoh hardened their hearts? When he had worked wonderfully among them, didn't they let the people go, and they departed? Now therefore take and prepare yourselves a new cart, and 2 milk cattle, on which there has come no yoke, and tie the cattle to the cart, and bring their calves home from them. And take the ark of the Lord, and lay it on the cart, and put the jewels of gold, which you return him for a trespass offering, in a box by the side of it, and send it away that it may go. Behold, if it goes up by the way of its own border to Beth-shemesh, then he has done us this great evil. But if not, then we shall know that it is not his hand that has struck us, it was a chance that happened to us." The men did so, and took 2 milk cattle, and tied them to the cart, and shut up their calves at home. And they put the ark of the Lord on the cart, and the box with the mice of gold and the images of their tumors. The cattle took the straight way by the way to Beth-shemesh. They went along the highway, lowing as they went, and didn't turn aside to the right hand or to the left. And the lords of the Philistines went after them to the border of Beth-shemesh. They of Beth-shemesh were reaping their wheat harvest in the valley, and they lifted up their eyes and saw the ark, and rejoiced to see it. The cart came into the field of Joshua the Bethshemite, and stood there, where there was a great stone, and they split the wood of the cart, and offered up the cattle for a burnt offering to the Lord. The Levites took down the ark of the Lord, and the box that was with it, in which the jewels of gold were, and put them on the great stone. And the men of Beth-shemesh offered burnt offerings and sacrificed sacrifices the same day to the Lord. When the 5 lords of the Philistines had seen it, they returned to Ekron the same day. These are the golden tumors which the Philistines returned for a trespass offering to the Lord. For Ashdod 1, for Gaza 1, for Ashkelon 1, for Gath 1, for Ekron 1. And the golden mice, according to the number of all the cities of the Philistines belonging to the 5 lords, both of the fortified cities, and of country villages, even to the great stone, whereon they set down the ark of the Lord, which stone remains to this day in the field of Joshua the Bethshemite. He struck of the men of Beth-shemesh, because they had looked into the ark of the Lord. He struck of the people 50,070 men, and the people mourned, because the Lord had struck the people with a great slaughter. The men of Beth-shemesh said, "Who is able to stand before the Lord, this holy God, and to whom shall he go up from us?" They sent messengers to the inhabitants of Kiriath-Jearim, saying, "The Philistines have brought back the ark of the Lord. Come down and bring it up to you." Chapter 7. The men of Kiriath-Jearim came and fetched up the ark of the Lord, and brought it into the house of Abinadab in the hill, and sanctified Eleazar his son to keep the ark of the Lord. It happened, from the day that the ark abode in Kiriath-Jearim, that the time was long, for it was 20 years, and all the house of Israel lamented after the Lord. Samuel spoke to all the house of Israel, saying, "If you do return to the Lord with all your heart, then put away the foreign gods and the Ashtaroth from among you, and direct your hearts to the Lord, and serve him only, and he will deliver you out of the hand of the Philistines." Then the children of Israel did put away the Baals and the Ashtaroth, and served the Lord only. Samuel said, Gather all Israel to Mizpah, and I will pray for you to the Lord. They gathered together to Mizpah and drew water, and poured it out before the Lord, and fasted on that day, and said there, We have sinned against the Lord. Samuel judged the children of Israel in Mizpah. When the Philistines heard that the children of Israel were gathered together at Mizpah, the lords of the Philistines went up against Israel. When the children of Israel heard it, they were afraid of the Philistines. The children of Israel said to Samuel, Don't cease to cry to the Lord our God for us, that he will save us out of the hand of the Philistines. Samuel took a sucking lamb, and offered it for a whole burnt offering to the Lord. And Samuel cried to the Lord for Israel, and the Lord answered him. As Samuel was offering up the burnt offering, the Philistines drew near to battle against Israel. But the Lord thundered with a great thunder on that day on the Philistines, and confused them, and they were struck down before Israel. The men of Israel went out of Mizpah, and pursued the Philistines, and struck them, until they came under Bethkar. Then Samuel took a stone, and set it between Mizpah and Shin, and called the name of it Ebenezer, saying, Hitherto has the Lord helped us. So the Philistines were subdued, and they came no more within the border of Israel. And the hand of the Lord was against the Philistines all the days of Samuel. The cities which the Philistines had taken from Israel were restored to Israel, from Ekron even to Gath, and the border of it did Israel deliver out of the hand of the Philistines. There was peace between Israel and the Amorites. Samuel judged Israel all the days of his life. He went from year to year in circuit to Bethel and Gilgal and Mizpah, and he judged Israel in all those places. His return was to Ramah, for there was his house, and there he judged Israel, and he built there an altar to the Lord. Chapter 8. It happened when Samuel was old, that he made his sons judges over Israel. Now the name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second Abijah. They were judges in Beersheba. His sons didn't walk in his ways, but turned aside after money, and took bribes, and perverted justice. Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together, and came to Samuel to Ramah, and they said to him, Behold, you are old, and your sons don't walk in your ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, Give us a king to judge us. Samuel prayed to the Lord. The Lord said to Samuel, Listen to the voice of the people in all that they tell you, for they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me, that I should not be king over them. According to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them out of Egypt, even to this day, and that they have forsaken me, and served other gods, so do they also to you. Now therefore listen to their voice. However, you shall protest solemnly to them, and show them the manner of the king who shall reign over them. Samuel told all the words of the Lord to the people who asked of him a king. He said, This will be the manner of the king who shall reign over you. He will take your sons, and appoint them to him for his chariots, and to be his horsemen, and they shall run before his chariots. And he will appoint them to him for captains of thousands, and captains of 50s. And he will set some to plow his ground, and to reap his harvest, and to make his instruments of war, and the instruments of his chariots. He will take your daughters to be perfumers, and to be cooks, and to be bakers. He will take your fields, and your vineyards, and your olive groves, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. He will take the 10th of your seed, and of your vineyards, and give to his officers and to his servants. He will take your men-servants and your maidservants, and your best young men and your donkeys, and put them to his work. He will take the 10th of your flocks, and you shall be as his servants. You shall cry out in that day because of your king, whom you shall have chosen, and the Lord will not answer you in that day. But the people refused to listen to the voice of Samuel, and they said, No, but we will have a king over us, that we also may be like all the nations, and that our king may judge us, and go out before us, and fight our battles. Samuel heard all the words of the people, and he rehearsed them in the ears of the Lord. The Lord said to Samuel, "Listen to their voice, and make them a king." Samuel said to the men of Israel, "Go, every man to his city." Chapter 9. Now there was a man of Benjamin, whose name was Kish, the son of Abiel, the son of Zeror, the son of Bechorath, the son of Aphiah, the son of a Benjamite, a mighty man of valor. He had a son whose name was Saul, an impressive young man, and there was not among the children of Israel a better person than he. From his shoulders and upward he was higher than any of the people. The donkeys of Kish, Saul's father, were lost. Kish said to Saul his son, "Take now one of the servants with you, and arise, go seek the donkeys." He passed through the hill country of Ephraim, and passed through the land of Shalisha, but they didn't find them. Then they passed through the land of Shalim, and they weren't there. And he passed through the land of the Benjamites, but they didn't find them. When they had come to the land of Zuph, Saul said to his servant who was with him, "Come and let us return, lest my father leave off caring for the donkeys and be anxious for us." He said to him, "See now, there is in this city a man of God, and he is a man who is held in honor, and all that he says surely comes to pass. Now let us go there. Perhaps he can tell us concerning our journey where we go." Then Saul said to his servant, "But if we go, what shall we bring the man? For the bread is spent in our vessels, and there is not a present to bring to the man of God. What do we have?" The servant answered Saul again and said, "Look, I have in my hand the fourth part of a shekel of silver. That I will give to the man of God to tell us our way." In earlier times in Israel, when a man went to inquire of God, this is what he said, "Come and let us go to the seer," for he who is now called a prophet was before called a seer. Then Saul said to his servant, "Well said, come, let us go." So they went to the city where the man of God was, and they went up the ascent to the city. They found young maidens going out to draw water, and said to them, "Is the seer here?" They answered them and said, "He is. Look, he is before you. Hurry up now, for he has come today into the city, for the people have a sacrifice today in the high place. As soon as you are come into the city, you shall immediately find him, before he goes up to the high place to eat. For the people will not eat until he comes, because he does bless the sacrifice, and afterwards they eat who are invited. Now therefore go up, for at this time you'll find him." They went up to the city, and as they came within the city, behold, Samuel came out toward them to go up to the high place. Now the Lord had revealed to Samuel a day before Saul came, saying, "Tomorrow about this time I will send you a man out of the land of Benjamin, and you shall anoint him to be the prince over my people Israel, and he shall save my people out of the hand of the Philistines, for I have looked on my people, because their cry is come to me." When Samuel saw Saul, the Lord said to him, "Look, the man of whom I spoke to you, this same shall have authority over my people." Then Saul drew near to Samuel in the gate and said, "Tell me, please, where the seer's house is." Samuel answered Saul and said, "I am the seer. Go up before me to the high place, for you shall eat with me today, and in the morning I will let you go, and will tell you all that is in your heart. As for your donkeys who were lost 3 days ago, don't set your mind on them, for they are found. For whom is all that is desirable in Israel? Is it not for you, and for all your father's house?" Saul answered, "Am I not a Benjamite, of the smallest of the tribes of Israel, and my family the least of all the families of the tribe of Benjamin? Why do you speak to me after this way?" Samuel took Saul and his servant, and brought them into the guest chamber, and made them sit in the best place among those who were invited, who were about 30 persons. Samuel said to the cook, "Bring the portion which I gave you, of which I said to you, set it by you." The cook took up the thigh, and that which was on it, and set it before Saul. Samuel said, "Behold, that which has been reserved, set it before you and eat, because to the appointed time has it been kept for you. For I said, I have invited the people." So Saul ate with Samuel that day. When they were come down from the high place into the city, he talked with Saul on the housetop. They arose early, and it happened about the spring of the day that Samuel called to Saul on the housetop, saying, Rise up, that I may send you away. Saul arose, and they went out both of them, he and Samuel, abroad. As they were going down at the end of the city, Samuel said to Saul, Bid the servant go on before us. And he passed on. But you stand still first, that I may cause you to hear the word of God. Chapter 10. Then Samuel took the vial of oil, and poured it on his head, and kissed him, and said, Isn't it that the Lord has anointed you to be prince over his inheritance? When you are departed from me today, then you shall find 2 men by Rachel's tomb, in the border of Benjamin at Zelzah, and they will tell you, The donkeys which you seek are found, and behold, your father has left off caring for the donkeys, and is anxious for you, saying, What shall I do for my son? Then you shall go forward from there, and shall come to the oak of Tabor, and there you will meet 3 men going up to God to Bethel, one carrying 3 kids, and another carrying 3 loaves of bread, and another carrying a bottle of wine, and they will greet you, and give you 2 loaves of bread, which you shall receive of their hand. After that you will come to the hill of God, where there is a garrison of the Philistines, and it will happen, when you are come there to the city, that you will meet a band of prophets coming down from the high place with a psaltery, and a tambourine, and a pipe, and a harp before them. And they will be prophesying. And the Spirit of the Lord will come mightily on you, and you shall prophesy with them, and shall be turned into another man. Let it be, when these signs are come to you, that you do as occasion shall serve you, for God is with you. You shall go down before me to Gilgal, and behold, I will come down to you, to offer burnt offerings, and to offer sacrifices of peace offerings. 7 days you shall wait until I come to you, and show you what you shall do. It was so that when he had turned his back to go from Samuel, God gave him another heart, and all those signs happened that day. When they came there to the hill, behold, a band of prophets met him, and the Spirit of God came mightily on him, and he prophesied among them. It happened, when all who knew him before saw that he prophesied with the prophets, then the people said one to another, What is this that is come to the son of Kish? Is Saul also among the prophets? One of the same place answered, Who is their father? Therefore it became a proverb, Is Saul also among the prophets? When he had made an end of prophesying, he came to the high place. Saul's uncle said to him and to his servant, Where did you go? He said, To seek the donkeys, and when we saw that they were not found, we came to Samuel. Saul's uncle said, Tell me, please, what Samuel said to you. Saul said to his uncle, He told us plainly that the donkeys were found, but concerning the matter of the kingdom of which Samuel spoke, he didn't tell him. Samuel called the people together to the Lord to Mizpah, and he said to the children of Israel, Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, I brought up Israel out of Egypt, and I delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, and out of the hand of all the kingdoms that oppressed you. But you have this day rejected your God, who himself saves you out of all your calamities and your distresses, and you have said to him, No, but set a king over us. Now therefore present yourselves before the Lord by your tribes and by your thousands. So Samuel brought all the tribes of Israel near, and the tribe of Benjamin was taken. He brought the tribe of Benjamin near by their families, and the family of the Matrites was taken, and Saul the son of Kish was taken. But when they sought him, he could not be found. Therefore they asked of the Lord further, Is there yet a man to come here? The Lord answered, Behold, he has hid himself among the baggage. They ran and bought him there, and when he stood among the people, he was higher than any of the people from his shoulders upward. And Samuel said to all the people, You see him whom the Lord has chosen, that there is none like him among all the people. All the people shouted and said, Long live the king! Then Samuel told the people the manner of the kingdom, and wrote it in a book, and laid it up before the Lord. Samuel sent all the people away, every man to his house. Saul also went to his house to Gibeah, and there went with him the host whose hearts God had touched. But certain worthless fellows said, How can this man save us? They despised him and brought him no present, but he held his peace.